Good evening, viewers. The Idea Factory comes with yet another program. We are coming in programs at a very regular basis as the momentum is slowly picking up. And today we are coming with one more episode on orbit shifting, but with a different catch. How orbit shifting in the concept, how can we perform in a VUCA world? With this topic, we have with us executive and leadership coach, Mr. Sushant Sharma, who has been accompanying me in all discussions on orbit shifting so far. This is yet another, episode on the same topic, but we are exploring various angles around the same theme. And as we enter the new session, my first question to Mr. Sushant Sharma is, Mr. Sharma, if you can just tell us a little bit about the VUCA world and how the workplace has evolved during in the VUCA's world space. It's a new terminology, right?
Yeah. Yes. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Mr. Majumdar. Thank you for having me here again. Sir, as you rightly mentioned, it's a newly term, which is evolving in the perspective of last 2-3 years. What has been happening in terms of COVID and lockdowns, and people started facing a lot of issues with regard to their employment. Business became uncertain, and all those things have added to the perplexities of the corporate world, as well as personal and professional life also has been hampered, right? Speaking on that, what does it mean by VUCA? How did the term originated, and how did we started all talking about it? The first terms originated from the management schools and colleges. That's how they started talking about VUCA. The V stands for volatility. We need to just dismantle the entire VUCA thing first. V is for volatility in the market, in the business places. U is uncertainty. There are a lot of uncertainties around it. We'll talk about it in detail also. But let me first explain. VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty. There are complexities also in the businesses around you. There are a lot of complexities happening. I mean, the change of pattern is there. There's every 2 years there is a disruption also in the kind of business, the way we are doing it. The margins get shrinking, and it's always a first mover's advantage. The people who start the business doing early, they make most of it within 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. They have made the maximum. Then there's certainly some other disruption comes that creates a lot of uncertainty in the market. So volatility is there, uncertainty is there, complexities, and then comes ambiguity. Ambiguity means not so clarity. There's no clarity on behalf of. There is a certain haziness in the environment. Even the leaders are not aware. Even the management senior people are not aware which way to go, how to go about it, what to do, what not to do. So that is what VUCA is all about. Let me explain volatility first. Volatility is nothing but, the challenge is unexpected. When the challenges are unexpected, actually, or unstable, or maybe out of unknown duration, you never know how long it's going to last. There is you have no idea. The same we have gone through last 2-3 years. It has actually happened when you have no idea how long this COVID is going to last, how long the new keeps on regulations are going to be there, and you never know when exactly the new thing also comes up. Some government comes with the new rules and regulations. How long the lockdown is going to be there? Work from office or is going to be there or not? Hybrid work environment. How do we reach out to the customer? How do we have that offline meetings which they wanted, because they become more purposeful? So we had to drive our strategy which can handle in such a volatile situations. So it is not necessarily hard to understand. Knowledge about it is often available. We know what is happening. It's not that we are not aware, but still we are being aware, but still there is a lot of volatility exists. Something like, price fluctuate after a natural disaster, like a supplier offline. If we must have seen last 2 years also, every commodity, every product service, what we are using, it is at least 30-40% costlier now, what it was 2 years back. I'm sure you can take an example of the kind of food provisions which comes to your houses. Like the cooking oil. Cooking oil is almost 100%. It was 100 rupees liter. Now it is 200 rupees liter. Even petrol prices are rising. A lot of the commodities which we are using on a day-to-day basis, we have to pay a much higher price on that. So how do you handle volatility? We need to replace volatility with vision. Vision is something V remains the same. I'll give a one word for VUCA, how that very word can be replaced by another positive word, and how you can handle the volatility. Vision, need to have a vision. A leadership requires a high level of vision. So build in slack and devote resources to preparedness. You need to devote resources. Having the far-sighted approach will help you. How far-sighted? How, I mean, do you really deserve what it takes to be a leader? That is where a leader, it's an acid test, I would say. Because if you are really a leader, you will be able to handle such situations. That's a kind of a make or break situation for such leaders. Actually, it's a time for when that is a moment of truth, I would say. So stockpile inventory or over by talent, we need to work out on that. These steps are typically expensive. Your investment should match the risk. Risk and return go hand in hand again. So that's how volatility can be handled. Next, we come to uncertainty. VUCA. If we talk about uncertain, things are uncertain. We are not really sure. Despite a lack of other informations, the event's basic cause and effect are unknown. Why are we even doing it? Is it even worth what we're doing? What are we going to get out of it after doing it? So change is possible, but not a given situation. That is uncertainty. We are living in uncertain times. Like for example, if I tell you a competitor's pending product launch muddies the future of the business and the market, you never know who's going to compete with. Recently, we've seen even Adani's are coming up with so many businesses they are coming up where a already traditional business was happening. Some new competitors keeps on coming. They come with new strategies. They come with the disruptive technologies, and online offline business is getting hampered because of that. Like a competitor's pending product launch, this is the kind of the how do you handle uncertainty? Invest in information, collect, interpret, and share. The very important part is we need to invest in information. You need to collect it and share it. Share with your team. The works best in conjunction with structural changes, such as adding information analysis networks. They can reduce going uncertainty. See, few years back we had seen some kind of seniors used to keep that information with themselves only. They never used to pass it on to the others. No, 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 just keep it to yourself. The junior should be told only need to know basis. That strategy has to be changed in the corporate world also. The seniors has to share information to the juniors also if they really want them to perform. They need to know the entire perspective. Why are we doing it? If you are doing something, let them not be uncertain about it. If they don't have any idea. So the more you share information, the more transparent you become in the process, the teams gets more motivated. They start owning the thing. Yes, we own it and we are going to make it happen now. So that's how you handle uncertainty in the market. Then comes complexities. Of course, complexities is the situation has many interconnected parts and variables. Some information is available or can be predicted. The volume or nature of can be overwhelming to the process. You're doing business, like let me give you an example. Like you're doing a business in many countries. Just imagine you have a multinational company set up. You are a manager there, senior manager. You're doing business in many countries, all with unique regulatory environments. Their regulatory environments exist. Every country has its own law and regulations. They need to be operated back based on that. So that makes the entire thing very complex. Tariffs, cultural values, environment, regulatory setup. We need to handle with how to handle the authorities also. How do you do the licensing part also? Bureaucracy. How do you handle bureaucracy? How do you handle the political situation? Everything has to be handled, taken care in very good manner. That gives the complexities. Another last one is ambiguity. There is ambiguity. Casual relationship are completely unclear. There's lack of clarity. No precedent exists. Known, unknown, unknowns. We don't even know what we don't know. Like 5% I'll tell, 5% I know what I don't know. 5% I know what I know. That's only 10%. 90% I don't know what I don't know. That is ambiguity. That creates more of ambiguity in the business, in the personal and professional perspective. So you decide to move into immature or energy emerging markets or to launch products outside your core competencies. So focus on your core competencies. That's the best way to create clear, ambiguities also. Understanding cause and effect requires generating hypothesis and testing them. Design an experiment so that lesson learned can be broadly applied. So this is a very brief about this thing, VUCA. I'm sure it must have helped our audience also. Coming back to this question, Abir, I would like to ask you, what are the positive changes in the new environment? What do you find? What's your take on that?
Right. I think you have given a very good explanation of what is VUCA and how is it affecting the marketplace today. Uh, while VUCA is a new word, as they have rightly said, and it's kind of as more and more uncertainties are coming up forward, VUCA becomes a lingo that we are using over and over again. But just like our previous episode in moonlighting, even VUCA, if you ask me personally, without being attached to the word, VUCA concept or businesses have always worked on VUCA concept because every time, even if you look at the previous decade or if you have looked at the previous decade, if you take the COVID part aside, the world was
Hmm.
always uncertain. It was always volatile. Of course, the scenario, the landscape was different, and of course, it should be because today's landscape is different from the landscape before. But businesses have always been in VUCA. So I don't think this term, just like I've talked about that in moonlighting also, the concept is very old. Maybe you're using the term right now because it is again coming from the West. And we have already tried to say that we discuss topic because they come from the West and maybe they are experiencing it in so much time. But businesses have always, gone through, uncertain phases, and they have reinvented themselves for the customers and, made themselves more. So there's a lot of trial and error that goes between a business and its customer till they get it right. And not only do they get it right, they keep on doing this trial and error method so that, the customer is forever changing, the customer is forever, uh, evolving, and what was correct 2 years back may not be correct today. So they are in a perennial flux and businesses. That's why you see a lot of product launches, a lot of changes. So if you bring the COVID in the picture, I'm sure there are a lot of changes have happened, and in the process, businesses have become more uncertain. But let me also tell you, we are especially talking about this after COVID because we are over, by this FDI model which we have followed, a large part of the economy is very largely linked to the world economy or on the developed economies. So India will do well if the developed economies do well. India will not do well when the developed economies are not doing well. So basically, we are on a very high level of dependence on the Western world, and perhaps that is why, because most of the big organizations are dependent on clients abroad. Okay, if you look at Infosys, if you look at Wipro, and if they don't do well, we are not doing well. So whatever is happening there is kind of getting mirrored here. But that need not be. As we are talking of self-reliance, as we are talking of Atmanirbharata, I think we also have to believe that there's the dependence after COVID. We must say that our dependence on the outside world will change. Also, if you're talking of VUCA, it also varies from region to region. For example, within India also, we are a different state, you are a different state. Okay. So within India also, if you look at the uncertainty that is being faced, if you do business in this part of the country, would be different in the business that you do. So there's a certain amount of state or a local flavor to this entire ambiguity, complexity, whatever you talk of. There is also a national flavor. So if you're talking of COVID, which kind of disrupted the whole country, there is also a national flavor of uncertainty that is happening, and then there is the international flavor. So if you break it up into the three stages, the state level, the national level, and the international level, you will see that different reasons or different conditions come into play. And I think we also have to factor that when we are trying to reduce their dependency on the uncertainty, because businesses will always have to build a certain amount of reliable. The model has to be a bit of reliability, because we talk about forecasting. They go to the stock market and they have to forecast every 3 months. Now, if you're talking of VUCA, then you cannot forecast, right? If you are saying everything is so volatile, I don't know what is happening tomorrow, you cannot forecast. So typically, even within the VUCA model, there's a certain amount of forecasting that comes into play, and that forecasting can happen only when you slowly build a reliable model, even with as the ambience or surrounding becomes more and more uncertain. A few good things happened during the COVID times, and that's not new. We have discussed in previous sessions, and everybody knows it also. The good things is that we can work from home. we are connected to the rest of the world. There is no problem working with talking to you from this part of the country to the other end of the world. You could be traveling and you are in Germany, and we could have still had this session too. Okay, so we are so well connected. So that is a very high element of connectivity that we are having today. At the same time, we are all on the same boat, because COVID has kind of united the whole world in terms of difficulties, and everybody standing with each other and trying to support, build up the economy with each other. So there's a lot of dependency that is also there. At the same time, there is also a amount of self-dependence. Each country is looking at its own priorities, and they are only deciding that whether they should go out of the country, whether. So to some extent, globalization has taken a hit, and we are all looking inwards before we are stretching out. We are looking at national priorities, we are looking at state priorities, and then we will go out. So there's a certain amount of resurrection or changes that are happening because of COVID. So everybody, looking at the national boundaries, and trying to build up their own nation more stronger uh, than before COVID. Because previously, I think we were going across the borders, we were building it up, and now see what has happened. While India is actually on the receiving side, and they should be happy that a large part of our business is coming from MNCs. So, but at the same time, India has also realized that while you enjoy the sunny days, you also have to, suffer the rainy days of the other countries. And if they don't do well, you will be forever waiting for them to give you good work. And that doesn't work for a country of such a large size as India. We should have our own building system. So typically, the VUCA also gives us a unique opportunity of building India to its own terms, to its own processes. Okay, so the in terms of the good things, I would say definitely it's a different mindset. It's a different, and also people are thinking with new products, new services. A lot of it looking at it from the domestic point of view. While we can always cross borders and offer the services across the country, but a large part of the products are connected to the national borders. I think that is what I would like to do from the VUCA point of view. But my next question to Mr. Sharma is, Mr. Sharma, if you can tell me, VUCA also needs people or business employees to develop their own skills to and be prepared for VUCA. Now, what are the new skills required by employees to perform in the new environment?
Well, very rightly mentioned by you the kind of positive outcomes which I mentioned here, in kind of VUCA world. As you rightly pointed out, the kind of let's talk about the kind of critical competencies which are required to handle these VUCA world, situations, and what are those the kind of mindset is required in terms of leadership per se. And let's jot down few qualities what I have thought. The first and foremost is you need to have an adaptive mindset. Be open to flexibility and adaptability. That's the first and foremost requirement. To navigate successfully through the maze of VUCA, I would say leaders will need to be comfortable with unclear situations and travel into unexplored paths. Make yourself adaptable, as flexible as you are. There are people with fixed mindset, there are people with growth mindset. So in the long run, who succeeds more? The people who have growth mindset, of course. So that kind of the willingness to work on ourselves, willingness to work on things around us, they are the people who are going to succeed. The first and foremost quality is adaptability and flexibility. This means leader will want first time. There can be first time situations. Oh, I have never dealt with such kind of things. Be ready for that. Change is change is the only constant thing. Except that the first time situations more often they need to build their music muscle to still deliver results. Rapid prototyping approach. Leaders will need to constantly experiment and get an early and frequent feedback that enables constant realignment. Constant realignment. Be ready to align yourself based on the kind of what of the feedback you're getting. That shows how agile you are. Agileness matters. Flexibility matters. Adaptability matters a lot. The first and foremost is, of course, develop an adaptive mindset. Have a vision. As I clearly mentioned in my first question also, first answer also, need to have a vision, a leadership vision. It's a perpetual force, a critical, another anchor that drives decisions, actions, and judgments. With a younger workforce that is purpose driven, having a compelling vision for which is also key driver for engaging and retaining high performing team members. Compelling vision is important prerequisite for any community to work, network to succeed. Leaders will thrive in future for the ones who have a clear vision of where they want organizations team to be. Another is abundance mindset. Now, what does it mean by abundance mindset? Let's not complain, this because of this that happened, because of this that happened. Appreciate whatever you have. That's abundance mindset, and make sure you have to make it happen within the given resources only. That's abundance mindset. Let's not complain. Let's not talk critical. Let's not criticize. Let's not feel negative. Create negative vibes and all. Whatever God has given, have the sense of gratitude. Okay, this much is sufficient. I'll make out of it. Don't worry. I'll handle the situation. That's abundance mindset. That's very much required. So abundance means seeing possibilities, where a constrained mindset sees challenges. What do you see? You see challenges or you see possibilities? Of course, challenges are there, but will you make it happen eventually? That matters. The leader's ability to spot the white spaces, unique problem, and indiscriminate intersections as critical. Do something about it. Leaders build a unique ability to see through contradictions towards a future others cannot see. That makes them leaders. That's why you see, everybody cannot be leader. There are only few selected people who have that leadership traits. So this is one of the most important trait is having the abundance mindset. Let's not complain about it. Let's not criticize. Let's not start repenting on it. Let's not regretting, this didn't happen, that didn't happen. We're living in the past. Or let's not get anxiety also. Live in the moment, find a solution. You will get it. That's important. Then weave ecosystem of human engagement. Human engagement is very much required. Then comes anticipate and create changes. Anticipate the changes. Rather than having a reactive approach, have a proactive approach. Proactivity is very important. Another I would say self-awareness. How much self-aware you are. Have you done the SWOT analysis? Strength, weakness, opportunity, threats. As vis-a-vis organization is concerned, with your people manpower is concerned, how much people management skills you have. Have you done it? That matters. Of course, networking or collaboration matters. How much network and collaborate you can, because that's very important part. Whenever you think of and handling these VUCA words, these are the strengths required. Networking and collaborating. We all are there. Keep on their social media exists, their digital media presence exists. We have to be there on various platforms also. Make yourself visible. Create the good kind of contacts on which you can build upon. Relationships, contacts, eventually that matters the most. Then focus on customers. Listen to your customers. Hear them out. That's very important again. Hearing to your customers. Develop people. Have a people management skills, strong people management skills, and design for the future. Let's have the focus. Live in the present. Design for the future. This is how it is going to be. This is how I make my company ready for next 5 years, for 10 years. And last and most important is clarify and communicate. Communication is so very important. Constantly, it should be a constant process. Keep on communicating with your team, keep on communicating with your customers, with your vendors, with the suppliers, everybody around within the ecosystem, whoever exists. Never live that halfway middle. So constant clarification and communication is also so very important. So these are the few skills which are required to thrive in this world post VUCA. So coming back to you, Abir, what do you think? What can be futuristic new skills additionally, in addition to that?
I think you have given a very detailed, elaboration of the skills that are required, and I'm sure businesses are being built around those skills. But a few thoughts that I have in mind, since we have been harping about creativity and thought leadership for a period of time, I think new
Mm.
businesses will need to focus on something which is a creative part of individuals to a very large extent. For example, as we have already told in our previous sessions also, that so far businesses have never valued the creative elements of people lower down the ladder, and have not built a platform so far. While there are discussions happening, talkings happening, we are slowly seeing there's a change in trend where every level, at every different level, there are possibilities of creativity at every level. Also, as you rightly said, that people they hold their information and then don't share it with youngsters. And these are the things that even we have faced when we were working, and that baffled me, because I was on the strategy team, And as a strategy team, I was supposed to know the whole picture. But as you rightly said, the bosses would only share that is required, what is available, and that would not reach, that would not satisfy you. And perhaps one of the major reasons of starting this organization is also see to fill in all the gaps that I've seen in my job, and to see to build organization, to advise organizations to take away these gaps and make it available. What is the harm in sharing? As it is today, you're not the only source of information. Today, most of the information is available outside. If you don't give somebody else, if somebody is inquisitive, he will definitely find out that information. And there are cases that it will create a kind of thing. So it's important to create a certain amount of transparency within, where you give the big picture to people even at a lower level, because he should know where his work fits in. He might be doing a very small job or a very lower value add job in the whole value chain, but he knows that this is the way, this is the structure, this is the importance, and you can always give the lower importance, because that is also the building block of the organization also. So that is also a communication kind of thing. Also, what we want to see, or what we are also propagating, is to build a more humane organization. Organizations have always been job centric, and with COVID, of course, there has been, building bonds and all. But again, recently, we are again seeing a lot of job losses happening. And, people are recruiting people, they are laying off people. It's as if, they are like commodities. You take people today and you can throw them away. This is not the India that we are trying to build. So it is also, and it also puts in fact, it puts a more poorer branding of the organization than of the employees, because they are the victims and you're doing it. You're recruiting within 1 year, 2 years, you are not able to manage the situation because you call it VUCA, and then you again start laying off the people. And these people have invested so much of energy, and perhaps this was not in their agenda. And I'm talking the mass layoffs. I'm not talking of yearly layoffs where people don't perform. So with a 20%, 30% kind of people who on a regular basis. But here, when it's coming on the news, where even in the edtech companies they are laying off, there are so many sectors again have started laying off post COVID, and that is baffling me, because I think we are building organizations on a strong foundation. And if you do not build it, this is what is going to happen to you, that if you do not build it, you are not able to, the organization is not able to handle the VUCA. And that is very sad, because the employees become the victim of their organizational health. Organization need to be built from brick to brick. So instead of the skills, I would also, there's a certain amount of things that we would also advise organizations, that don't recruit full-time people until and unless you're confident that you can ride the VUCA uncertainties or whatever we are talking of. So until and unless you're sizable, let it be, and this is our advice, and we are also doing it. Let it be done by part-time, people, or people who can help you with a certain part of the agenda without taking them full-time. And there's not that's not a bad word today. You call it a freelancing, you called it a gig economy. I think the mix between freelancing and a fixed has to vary from time to time, and there is no harm in doing it. So I think my advice to organizations is, since you are not able to ride the uncertainty, and those organizations who are not sure how to handle all these uncertainties tomorrow, till you get a particular size, it's better to manage with small, with part-time employees, and keep only, and we are also advising organizations to do it. Even as we have told in our previous sessions also, keep only the brain part within the organization, the hands and legs. I think India is matured enough to outsource, marketing, matured enough to outsource HR, matured enough to outsource finance. But IT has already been outsourced, telecom network has already been outsourced. So you just can add up to these outsourcing part, and keep only your own research element, your own thought process, your customer interface. So I would say, to some extent, sales should be retained, the customer interface, customer relationship should be retained, and all the backend, a large part of the backend processes can be outsourced. So this might also give a large number of outsourced organizations, but that would also enable organization to be handle the VUCA world, which means you can play down or play up depending upon the situation, the size of the outsourcing. So if you are working with 300 outsourced people in this year, next year you can work with 200 outsourced people, and that makes it much more easier or human to work with, and you keep your own people protected. So better you recruit lesser number of people. Don't attempt to recreate or to build something which has already worked in the past. Don't copy what is already happened in the past. You have to create your own model, and that may be different from what has happened in the past. We are doing it, and we are helping organizations to build that unique model that suits you. And so both ways, while you are expecting individuals to develop a lot of skills, but organizations also need to do it. Also, there are a lot of discussion that have happened on reskilling, and it's important for me to talk about it now, because reskilling, because a lot of the roles, because technologies are the center point of businesses, technology is a very strong element of business. So lot of roles or functions are getting automated today, tomorrow. So people were doing it, then as an organization gets a handle on the whole process, it automates them. So the people are have to reskill themselves to the next level. So there's a dilemma, because once every role gets as roles get automated, what do people do? How do they rise up the ladder? If they rise up the or they make themselves more useful. So the question of reskilling themselves is very important. So you can reskill yourself on the technology part of it, so that you can manage the technology instead of doing the work which technology can replace you. You can manage the technology, and at the same time also use innovation and creativity to build your profile. So there's a certain amount of two-way process where both the organization can tweak its business model to retain the best performing guys, and also the individuals also need to redevelop or redefine or reinvent their skill set and to improve over there. So it's also about reskilling individuals within the organization. I think these are some of the thoughts that this may not fit into the kind of question that you were asked, but these are general thoughts that I have. And perhaps my next question to you will be, if you can tell us a little bit about what are organizations, how are organizations imparting the new skills to employees?
Uh, very broadly elaborated from your end, nicely explained as well. We are in the last 2 minutes of the session. Just wanted to, as I, briefly, quickly, I would like to sum it up as volatility, uncertainty, complexities, and ambiguities, right? These are the VUCA. In the today's corporate world, volatility has to be replaced by vision. We need to, our leaders have to have vision. Uncertainty bring understanding because of that. Understanding has to be created within the employees, within the leadership, and within the kind of a relationship they have with their customers also. So vision, understanding, complexities, let's make it clear. Clarity will only able to get the complexities out of the system. So it has to be vision, understanding, clarity, and ambiguity is, as we rightly mentioned in the beginning, adaptability and flexibility. Agile, need to be agile. Have to have that. So let's replace volatility, uncertainty, complexities, ambiguity with vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. So that's something I would like to say in the end. And let's just coming back to you for the last 1 minute. Just how will the new skill help employees in orbit shifting? If you just quickly sum it up within 1 minute. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I have already explained the whole process. We are actually coming to the topic of orbit shifting. The individuals can, navigate their career within the organization. So there are some
Mm.
thoughts that I've already told. So basically, people, if they have to navigate their career within the organization, they have to reskill themselves. They have to align themselves to the organization uncertainties, and also, use their creativity to make their role more important within the organization. So there has to be a continuous dialogue between the organization and the individual, and more. And I would we would recommend most organized individuals to have a long-term career path handy in front of them, which means that they should talk to an organization, say this is my 3 year career path within the organization. These are the milestones that we do, and be in regular dialogue. And by meaning in regular dialogue, we are also, if you're talking about bit shifting, we are also saying it may not be a boss related role. It may be a mentor related role where you can handle two, three pockets of areas, and continually discuss yourself, improve yourself, and throw suggestions